Welcome to the beginning of the podcast. It's very, very hot outside. Extremely hot.
Scorcher.
I sent the guys home early.
Scorcher.
Did you?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
some of them. I figure.
My guys just went home early.
They just
Shows
went
what-
home. They
shows
didn't
what
ask
kind
you.
of what kind of control I have.
My guy worked all day.
Busted his ass all fucking day. Boss didn't give a shit about the heat on Mike's site.
Guys, I've got intro music. You guys ready for this?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm super interested in this intro, man.
This is like something you've never heard. I spent many of time on it.
Is it AI generated?
many of time. I've spent many of time on this intro music.
Is it AI generated?
Is this intro music brought to you by the Mulder Freedom Hat?
I will. I don't want to give any spoilers, to be honest.
Okay, no
I think
spoilers.
the best thing for me to do is just
I do
share
want
my
to.
screen.
I do want to say to everyone though that limited availability. You can own a piece of history. It's basically the same as getting a sword from the Civil War. The Mulder Freedom Hat is available right now, limited quantity. And Andy himself says own a piece of history. You know, you could have a Civil War sword. You could have a piece of a aircraft carrier from World War II. You could have an ancient Chinese vase. You could have a terracotta soldier, from Pompeii, or you could have a Mulder Freedom Hat. It's all basically the same. It's all a piece of history.
Or you
I
could
know
have
what
an
I'd
Otter
choose.
Finest Hour oppression hat too.
The oppression hat did win in the poll.
It did.
It did.
A slightly
Freedom
biased
Hat-
poll.
No, more than us voted in it, for the record. I mean, there was like 5 more people. I don't know. There was actually quite a few people. I don't remember exactly how many. I did like the fact that Andy just outright ignored the poll and the whole post about the Freedom Hat. Didn't share it, didn't acknowledge it, didn't message us about it, just said, fuck these guys.
What's,
I need to sell these 25 Freedom Hats. I can't get tangled up with whatever fucking shit they got going on.
what's more oppressive than oppressing the oppression hat?
Oh.
Oh, yeah. He's got 25 hats to move. This podcast is going to help him move the 25 hats. All right. Are you ready for your intro music, Mike?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
excited.
I'm
I've been
pumped
beyond
about this.
excited for 6 days here. Just
6
waiting
days.
to share this. Yeah.
All
You
right.
guys ready?
Ready.
Oh, wait. I think let me try this again. I need to share with sound. Otherwise, it's just me listening to it.
It's not that epic.
It's not. All right. Let's do this again.
What's the Not Your Finest Hour podcast? What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone.
I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that.
I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight. In fact, I feel very free. The Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
So,
I think that should be the official intro music.
I'm sold. Yeah.
you guys like it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best. That absolutely needs to be
That's great.
the intro music before every episode starts, starting with this episode. That is great intro music. It's got a great background.
I love it.
If you listen to that music, I think that in the current situation, someone could get entangled with this podcast and not realize what it's all about and that it's not for everyone. But if we use that intro music, it's pretty clear it's not for everyone.
That was repeated by 4 different podcasters.
4 different podcasters all repeated that is this, you know how they always say that Larry David is a comedian's comedian? That when he was up on stage and he was performing stand-up, all the comics in the back would be absolutely laughing their asses off, and all the people in the audience would be booing him. I'd be like, get the fuck off the stage, dude. You're not funny. Do you feel like this is the podcast for landscape podcasters?
I thought the same thing. I thought this was the podcast for. There was I'm your favorite comedian's favorite comedian is what I've heard before. We're your favorite podcast, landscape podcaster's favorite podcast.
Favorite podcast. Yeah. And it's not for everyone. That should definitely be the official intro music.
The good thing about that intro music is we can continue to use that same music alongside different clips. So maybe our podcast goes through different seasons where we may need to change up the various clips of voiceovers.
I don't think we should ever change up the part where Brian says, "Do not endorse this podcast." When you listen to it. I think if we're looking for potential sponsors, we should be sending them that clip, that set of music clips. Endorsed by no one and not for everyone. Please sponsor us.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't want to sign up for that? Endorsed by no one. No value. I don't know who wouldn't want to sign up and be a sponsor of this podcast.
I agree.
I think one of our goals should be to get our own HNA number for people buying tickets to HNA.
What does that do for us?
Our discount. Well, I just want to have a discount code.
So I had one.
Caleb says I want to be on the right side of history. Says use the almond 10 code and be on the right side of history. I want to wear an oppression hat and have our own code. I want to be on the right side of history.
Yeah. But do we all get a code? Like, all get the same code? Or do we all have a different code?
I feel like we're a group. We could all have the same code.
I feel like we almost need the might
if it's
of
not our
3 of
finest
us.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one to promote one of their, it was during COVID, one of their online things. And when the event came and went, they just ghosted me. But I do, like, I signed up through the link. I had various other people whenever I shared it said, "Hey, I used your link. Thanks a lot." And they just ghosted me.
Well, it's because you're on the wrong side of history.
I guess so. Yeah.
They were too busy paying out the almonds on the right side of history.
Well, there's 2 different things. There's HNA and then there's Equip. So they all have Equip links. None of them have HNA links. Well, at least as far as I know. But maybe I need to be on the Equip side of things because the HNAs. Maybe I shouldn't even be airing this out on this podcast.
No, you should definitely be airing it out on this podcast. I feel like this is what the listeners come here for. Your problems with getting ghosted by HNA.
It was around the time we started this podcast, so maybe they listened into this podcast and said, "You know what? Maybe we don't want to be affiliated."
These are not the right people.
Yeah,
we do not want this guy. So I will say that in terms of not for everyone. My dad has started listening to the podcast regularly, and we did get him some Bluetooth headphones for Father's Day. Wow, Christmas! My brain is fried. But previous to that, he was just listening to it on the speaker of his phone everywhere he walked out loud. So
that's great advertising.
It's tremendous. When he's walking the dog, he was getting his friends to listen to it. So he was definitely out there. But he did incur the fact that my mom does not like the swearing and did not want the podcast on out loud. So
that's why my mother-in-law can't listen at work. Yeah.
I said I'll tell Chad and Mike to stop swearing. It's my mom. She would never blame me for it. She would defend me forever.
We're a terrible influence.
You don't swear, but those other two are terrible. Said I know. Been a horrible influence on me.
Yeah.
So you guys are definitely a bad influence. So we today you know what's crazy? So Christy and I went and looked at the W990 dump truck yesterday. I told her we would not buy it if she couldn't figure out how to open the hood. Because the hood is like literally 7 feet long and she can't reach it standing on the ground to get to the top to pull it open. It is big. So she really wanted the truck, so she figured out how to open the hood by jumping on the bumper and then jumping backwards in the air and holding onto it and hoping that the hood opens. But she did get it open, so we took it for a drive. It is awesome. So we put an offer in today, and the guy sent us the purchase agreement, and the financing guy had already approved it. So $293,000 down the drain.
Wow. Wait, back it up a second. You put an offer on the truck? It's like a house now?
I guess. Well, so my the truck was 288,000 and change.
And you offered them more money?
No. Well, the truck is heavily discounted. It should be between 330 and 350. But it's been on their lot for 10 months. It's people don't make W900s into dump trucks very much because of the hood and the whole, it's not a common dump truck. So they've had it for 10 months. They can't sell it. They've discounted it down to 288. There wasn't really it honestly is a smoking deal at 288 for what it is.
Is that pre-box or after?
No, that's what the box on it. It's all built. It exists with the spiff. The whole thing is built for 288.
Manual, automatic.
It's 12-speed ultra shift,
What's
which
that,
is
a tap
automatic.
shift?
It's automatic. No, it's automatic.
Okay.
It's a 12-speed. All the Kenworths come with the PACCAR motor and the 12-speed ultra shift because
gotcha.
it's their motor and their tranny, right? So to upgrade a truck now to a Cummins and an Allison, which is in our other truck, is 30,000 for the motor and 20,000 for the tranny.
Holy.
So $50,000 is a lot of money plus interest.
Yeah,
absolutely. To get it. There's an argument it's a better motor. We bought Chrissy's truck she has now. It had 140,000 kilometers on it. We've had it for 5 years now. It has 360,000 kilometers on it. So we're not, it's not, this is Christy now. Should we answer the phone and see what she wants?
Ask her how she likes her new truck.
Christy, we're recording the podcast, so you're on the podcast. We're all saying inappropriate things.
Or speakerphone or closer to the mic.
Bye. All right, Christy left. She did not want to be on the podcast.
Camera shy.
She's camera shy. So I didn't think so. The truck is blue. I don't know if you guys saw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's blue. So my concern is I don't want a blue truck. I have no interest in owning a blue truck. So I said to them, I think the price of the truck is fair. It's the least, all the other trucks, the closest deal I found was pre-built Peterbilts that some guy walked away from that had excavator boxes on them that I didn't really like because we do a lot, like Christy in particular does a lot of spreads, and with an excavator box, you can't really do a spread. You can't really chain it. Anyways, I didn't love the box that was on the trucks. And they were $295, and that's only because some guy ordered like 12 of them and walked away from all of them. So they had 4 left, and they were $295. So this was legit the lowest price truck I could find. It's also to me the coolest truck we could find. So I just said to them, "I'll give you the 288 because I don't think there's really any movement there, I don't think they're going to move on the truck. But I want it to be black when it leaves the shop. Like when it leaves your yard, it needs to be black. I'm not wrapping it. I'm not dealing with it it needs to be black when it leaves. Whether you guys choose to wrap it or paint it, I don't really care what happens to it, but it needs to be all black when it leaves the shop. I'm not dealing with it because what's going to happen is we're going to get busy and end up with 2 blue and black triaxles like the fucking International we have that we've never had time to park for 4 or 5 days for them to wrap it or do whatever. And this truck is way too expensive and has it's I don't want it to be blue. So they came back and said it's at Kenworth, it's $7,500 to paint the truck, which seems actually pretty fair. There's a lot of it's a lot of work to paint the thing, especially when it already has the box on it. And so they said they'd split it with us. So it was $3,750 on our end, which if we were to take it blue and wrap it, it's probably $5,000. Well, might be even more because that truck is way bigger than the hood of it is way bigger than the other trucks we wrapped. So I was whatever. So it cost $4,000 to get it painted black, but now it's getting painted black in Kenworth's body shop at Kenworth, and it's leaving their yard brand new painted black. So
warranted, everything.
Warranted. I think that was a way better deal than wrapping it. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when things are $293,000, you're making an offer on them. You're not. So
next time I'm in the market for a $290,000 truck, I'll make sure to make an offer.
Well, I didn't think we were going to do. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to get it for less than that. It's already for what it is and how rare it is. It's already probably as low as it would ever be. Like we ordered it brand new, the way it sits now, it would be I think he said it would be $345. So,
sometimes the decision gets made for you.
Sometimes a decision gets made for you. But I also, Christy, since she started driving, she's wanted a W9. They stopped making them. So this is a W990, which is so it's basically the same thing. So I'm happy that we were able to, after we started with just Christy, she was the only person, me and her doing the trucking. And I'm happy that after 5 years, we were able to facilitate her getting the truck that she really wanted.
Nice.
And it looks sick. And I think I think it'll be good for marketing.
Yeah.
Like when you see it, it's obscurely different from every other dump truck on the road. So
sweet.
I think it will be good for marketing for us too, especially when she hasn't decided exactly what she wants to do with it, but probably going to have like a big pink crown again and pink logos. And so
Are you keeping the old truck?
No, it's for sale if anyone wants it. So our truck is that triaxle would sell for between 100 and 110 right now on the market. If it had, say it was a 2014 and it had like 600K on it and it had a Cummins motor. It is for sale. I will sell it for $65,000. I understand that the motor that's in it is a deterrent, so I want to be fair about it. So I'm giving a $40,000 to $50,000 discount on the truck. But it's been good to us. It's running good now. We never had any major problems with the motor. That being said, Chrissy takes good care of it, and Brad takes good care of it. So, I think that giving a $40,000 to $50,000 discount is fair.
Is there an additional discount if they mention the Not Our Finest Hour podcast?
If someone buys it and they mention the Not Our Finest Hour podcast, I will take an additional $2,500.
Wow. That's a steal.
And if you use promo
for
code,
each time you mention it.
If you use promo code, HF, NHLL or what Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Not NO.
What if they show up when they pick it up with a oppression hat? A red oppression hat. How much does that get?
If you
Then
show
I
up
then
with
I would
an
tell them they
oppression
invested
hat,
$1,000 in Greyhound.
if someone shows up with an oppression hat to buy your truck, I will give them $1,000 cash rebate.
Oh,
A cash.
A cash rebate.
Chad is dropping Lionscape cash rebates like nothing tonight.
that's a free hat. Oh, but they have to buy the truck too.
They have to buy the truck.
If
yeah.
someone
gotcha.
shows up, mentions the Not Our Finest Hour podcast, and is wearing a Mulder Freedom hat, I will drop $3,500 on the price right off the hop.
This
You've
is
never
getting
had
dangerous.
you've never had a wiser investment than a $50 Mulder Freedom hat to save yourself $3,500 on a truck.
Do those build? Like if they mention the Not Our Finest Hour podcast, 2,500, the Freedom hat another 35. Like, do these build or is it
No,
just
it's all one.
Okay.
135. It's one
You get
package.
one. got it?
Show up with the Mulder Freedom hat, be a part of history, and yeah. So the truck is for sale. It's a good truck. It's got all new brake pods. It's got all new tires. It was sandblasted and painted 2 years ago. Box frame. The front is wrapped black. If you wanted to unwrap it, it would be a white and black. The truck would be white with a white cab with a black box. Maybe you should buy it, Chad. Well,
Well, now that I get all these discounts.
and now Chad. Sorry, we got to pause the podcast. Chad is ordering a Mulder Freedom hat right now as we speak. He's going online to order his Freedom hat. Yeah, it's spiffed. It's got a control box. It's legal spiffed. It's got 360,000 kilometers on it. It served us well, but I think it would be a good truck for someone that could spend some time with it.
You were mentioning the boxes, the different boxes. What are the
Yeah.
different boxes and how do you decide which one is best suited for you?
So an excavator box is small at the back and then goes on an upward angle to the front of the box. You see them there, and the trucks are usually a bit longer. And the tailgate is usually not on air; it's controlled by chains. So as the box goes up, the chains pull the tailgate up, and then it falls back down into a slot, and it falls between two hooks. It was a new excavator box. It's not an OG excavator box, so they're designed so that when you swing with the excavator, you're going over the low part of the back of the truck, and then you're spreading the hoe out into the back of the truck, right? So that's why the back
Right.
of them is low, and so you swing over the back, and then you spread. Anyways,
I never knew that. I just thought that's an uglier box than all the other boxes that I see.
it's specifically for excavating.
Yeah. Well, to me, it just looks uglier.
It
So I
does
wouldn't
look
buy one.
uglier. The new ones basically look exactly the same as the other boxes. They're all flat sides now because everything with excavator boxes is a lot of times they have extra ribs in them because they're trying to make them stronger. They're taking a much more pounding than maybe like an aluminum gravel box. So, I don't know. I wouldn't want an like the guy who walked away from those trucks is an excavating company. So I'm sure that's why they're all set up like that. But it would have been okay if there wasn't something else available. It would have been fine, but I would much rather have an air gate on the box and then the chains. Christy spent all day today spreading gravel. So anyways, that's what we did this week. So I guess we better find some trucking work,
Yeah.
pay for the truck. And my goal is to 10x paying for the truck and pay it off in 3 months.
Wow.
We're gonna 10x this bitch. There's no fucking way that's happening. So whatever.
Turn on the key and never turn it off
Turn on the key, run it 24/7. Fucking
in shifts.
it is a different. It's much different to drive it than anything else we own. It has a big drop visor on it too. So the windshield is limited and the hood is long and yeah. Anyways, if someone's standing in front of it, you can't even see them. So I guess you got to pay attention to not run over people. That would be
Wow.
part of it, I guess. So,
Wow.
anyways, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to having it. I think it'll be a perfect addition to us and a good create a bit more stability with the dump trucks in terms of having 5 of them go down at once in one day. Hopefully, ours will be our dump trucks will end up being a 2022 and a 2023 because the truck's a 2023 too, but it's still brand new.
That's big money.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just really sick of fucking fixing
Problems.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
just fucking sick of it. The
How far do
Sicily-
you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How far are you booked out on something like trucking? Like, do you know what
24
you're
hours.
doing not tomorrow but the next day?
No.
No.
Depends which truck.
Yeah.
So tomorrow everyone's going to haul fill to 2 different places in 2 different sections from Arntz. And the next day I have no idea what 3 of them are doing. But Christie's going to haul for the Brooklyn group. They got a pool dig that they're finishing. They backfilled the pool and everything, and they just have what's left over after they do cement pools. So they keep a bunch of dirt to backfill the hole. So they have 2 or 3 loads, and they need a load of topsoil brought up to them. But I have no idea what the trucking is wild. The whole thing is crazy. Like the same, like Cody, she has some stuff booked tomorrow, but lots of days she comes in and she'll have 1 bin booked, and then the day just develops from there. People start calling. People start, can you bring me this? Can you do that? Can I get a bin? So
I
That-
get enough of that too. Yeah, like it just the day finds a way to fill itself.
Yeah.
With stuff, it's all right as long as they have the manpower to do it, right? Like you have to take that leap and have somebody there to do this sort of thing.
So I have a couple runs that the trucks do that are break even runs. They're not great. So with the broker truck, like let's use the broker trucks as an example because they would be so I have a couple runs that I do with the broker trucks sometimes that are literally like I make $50 a day off them, $25. They're break even runs. I'm not losing money. I'm not making, but to your point, Chad, it gets them out and it gets them on the road. And oftentimes once they're out, they're on the road, they're doing their like, for lack of a better term, break even run. Someone will call me and say, hey, do you have 2 trucks available? I'll be like, yeah, no problem. I can reroute them right now. And I take them off that break even run. And it's like more contractual stuff we do. We have some things that we do that people say, go do this anytime, get it done when you can. And so we go and do it. And so I'll take them off those things and send them somewhere that, someone needs an emergency but it gets them out and it gets them on the road. Because once they're out on the road, it's easier the day develops differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
This normally, previous to this year, Cody would always have 2 or 3 things to do every morning. And then her day would fill up by the end of the day, or you put out 3 or 4 bins in the morning and then they start calling you to come and get them and you go get them in the afternoon, or you get 1 bin from the day before. The whole thing is actually, so Dawn's truck, oftentimes I know where it's going because it works a lot for Hawkins Floating Equipment. So they pre-book those float moves. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they call in the middle of the day and be like, hey, could you do this? But a lot of times the float move stuff is booked 24, 48 hours ahead of time. But really, when you think about it, the whole thing is wild. We have 3 bin trucks, 2 triaxles, 17 bins, and a 20-ton float and a 30-ton float. And in general, I don't have any work for them past 48 hours, any of it.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's the industry, but
it is what the industry is.
It's nuts. Would there be benefit to putting Dawn in like a tractor and then sending that dump truck out to work?
Like putting him in like a low boy?
Yeah, or a tractor. Like, I mean, does he necessarily have to have a dump truck to tow that trailer?
probably 99% of the time a trailer like that, a tag trailer would get pulled by a dump truck.
Yeah.
Or
I
a roll
suppose.
off. You could get a roll off with a flat deck. Like if you wanted to be really efficient, you get like a 500 horsepower roll off triaxle with a flat deck that so you could put a machine on the flat deck and then put machines on the float.
Yeah.
The dump truck, the problem is you can't put anything into the back of it, right?
Gotcha.
But there's an argument that we could get a float tractor and a drop like a low boy float, but we don't. I mean, it's one of those things. If we had it, we would probably get more phone calls for it. Like if we were doing real heavy haul stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't, there's a lot of guys in that business that are really fucking good at it. And if our business was growing where we had our own heavy haul stuff to do, I would probably buy it to move our own stuff around. And then like, how much does it cost you to float when you floated the 20 ton? How much does that cost?
Depends where it goes to, but generally, I don't know, $500 away.
So like that tractor and lowboy are probably worth 500 grand.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying
No, I'm just saying like for me, it doesn't make sense currently.
for sure. Yeah,
Maybe it would if I lived in Cornwall and had a customer.
there's only like one or two guys that'll heavy haul stuff around here, really. So
Yeah.
it's
I-
it's a niche.
It's a super niche. I was saying to Christy when we were driving out to look at the truck as I was living my life over again, I would, that's what I would do.
Heavy haul.
That's what I would do. That's what I would have done. If I knew what I knew now and I was living my life over again, that's what I would want to do.
I don't know what I would do. Probably this again. I'd make all the same mistakes and end up here.
I would make all the same mistakes and just end up here with a bigger truck. Great. Okay. I don't know. Someone else asked me about that because I don't know. They saw our truck go by with a dozer on it, and they said, "Why don't you just buy a fucking?" It's like I don't know, man. It's like there's a justifiable argument that even if all our float moves dried up, we could still use those floats to move our own equipment, and they're paid for. Like we own them both, so it's
Yeah.
like, whatever. I mean, one of them is probably worth 50 grand, but you look at it, you're like, okay, so I sell it for 50 grand. Okay, I have 50 grand. That's fucking great. But to replace the float now is like 77 grand.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous shit. So it's like it's better if that's like Christie's trailer, the 20 ton. I don't think it's moved in 4 months. But we paid $10,000 for it. It's a great trailer. It's served us well. What am I going to sell it for? Maybe 10,000, 15 right now, maybe $10,000, maybe $15,000. And then
It's worth
to replace it is $40,000.
Yeah.
So when the big trailer goes in for cert, or if it ever needed work or something happened to it, having the backup trailer sit there when we own it, the overhead cost of it is getting it certified every year. It makes sense for us to keep it in my mind. I'm sure there's some pundit with software that could tell me that it's a fucking mistake to have it there, but whatever. I'm not saying you, Mike. Maybe someone else. So that's what we're up to. Selling the farm.
Yeah, that's a great start to your week. Spending a ton of money.
Especially since we didn't close any work this week. So
I closed one today after meeting the client 4 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
How big of a project?
not big. We're talking like we're talking like 15K. Like,
Oh yeah.
and it's only good because I get to peel out the asphalt. That's the only cream on the job. Is me peeling out the asphalt, undercutting the asphalt contractor.
Nothing says
That's but we have the machines to do it, and we have the trucks to do it, so we're gonna peel the asphalt. Otherwise, we're waiting on them. No, I say I undercut the asphalt guy, but we're working together in cohesion where I come in first.
Yeah.
And tear everything out and do my interlock, and then he can come in and roll pavement.
Did
It's better
you
than
hire him?
he hired me. Well, he reps us for jobs and stuff like that. So
So do you use him for pavement quotes?
yeah. A lot of the time, I mean, he's our number. Like, we'll do a lot with him, and he'll rep us for like retaining walls and stuff. And then after the fact, he'll be like, "Dude, your retaining wall is like 3 times the price of my asphalt." I'm like, yeah, that's normal. He goes, "Yeah, I guess so. Considering you're holding up the whole driveway or something." I'm like, what's your liability? You have to roll a bit of pavement again? How do you fix an asphalt driveway that shit the bed because your retaining wall fell over? Yeah, I'm on the hook for the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, if the retaining wall falls, you're right. You got to pay for the asphalt and the retaining wall.
Yeah. I went into another job that I'm working hard to sell. They wanted to put up, it's like an 80-foot wall. They want to do like a Brandon wall, like a hollow core wall. And there's a 2.5 foot difference between these driveways, and the homeowners are splitting on the wall, which is another thing that scares me, right? So they both have to be there. They both have to be in on the conversation. You have to sell yourself to both clients, right? And then at the end, take a check for 50% from each one of them.
One of them has almost zero benefit and will never see the wall.
Yeah. Well, other than it holds up their driveway. I
Yeah, but
suppose,
that
right?
person wants it to be as cheap as possible because they're not looking at it. And the person on the other side that's looking at the wall is like, I want a nice Brandon wall. No,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, Brandon wall is $30 a face foot to buy or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, can't we use like a RB wall that's $10 a face foot to buy? And they're like, well, I don't want to look at that
I
though.
don't. Yeah.
Now you're in the midst of this disagreement over the material.
And here I am trying to sell them Grande wall so that I never have to come back and touch the wall ever. I said, if someone crashes into your Brandon wall, your hollow core wall, how are you going to fix that? You have to disassemble the wall. Like
Yes.
if someone hits your Grande wall, you're going to buy a new car
Yes.
because you just shattered the entire car. They're like, well, how long is the warranty on a Brandon wall? I said, I don't know. I wouldn't put that in for you here. You know, well, how long are you going to warranty the Grande wall? I said,
9
I don't know.
years.
How's 20 years? She's like, oh my God. And she shook my hand right there. I'm like, I don't know what if you know what a handshake means. Like, you actually stole the job. So your handshake means literally nothing because you're not giving me the job yet. But still, I guarantee your Grande wall will be here longer than any hollow core block wall that you can stack by hand. Right. So
We did a retaining wall between two houses, and we used the best way ridge wall. I think that's what it's called. But for that reason, I was like, I don't want to come back here and fix this.
yeah,
I don't want some car to drive into it. I don't want. I was like, I just have no interest in.
Yeah.
There's not no one. The ridge wall you could build as a gravity wall, say like, and you were well within the scope of retaining what had to be retained. As soon as you started using a smaller block or a hollow core wall, it needed 4 feet of grid and compaction and all. And I was like, none of these people want to pay for this shit. They don't want grid. Like, I was like, it's so much easier to say, okay, this big block wall will do the same fucking job as long as you have room for the thickness of it because they're 14 inches or whatever.
14 inches, sure.
Yeah.
14 inches. Yeah, but the cap on the wall of like a Brandon cap is like what, 12 inches?
Probably, yeah.
You know, so like I was just trying to explain to them, you're gonna put this piddly little Brandon wall or mini Creta, which is your next option that they gave you, which is even smaller. It's a 3-inch block and it's, I don't know, 8 inches deep or whatever, right? I wouldn't trust a paver rolling behind that wall. And after the wall's in and they're rolling pavement and they make a bump in your wall, like on brand new asphalt, what do? Stop the paving. I have to correct this wall. Like, no, bite the bullet and get the Grande wall. Pay my price, and you never have to worry about it.
Isn't the Grande wall cheaper?
Maybe my install cost isn't cheaper.
It should be. 'Cause you
Mind
should be
you,
installing it twice as fast.
I will tell you what I'm paying for this wall, and you tell me if I'm out to lunch. It
You're
is
Paying for the wall or what you're charging for the wall?
what I'm charging to put the wall in.
Okay.
So, it's 80 feet of wall.
Hold on, I'm getting a pad of paper, Chad.
Sure,
This is official.
break it down.
Mike,
if
are you going
want.
to do something here? Or are you just smiling into the camera?
I'll just smile into the
Want
camera.
to run it through your
nod.
software? We'll see if this works.
Okay, hold on. I'm starting a fresh page. This says, oh, this is something about YouTube thumbnails. For the record, I'm up to 411 subscribers.
Wow.
I'm just
Nice.
crushing the shit out of YouTube.
Are you able to do A/B testing with your thumbnails now?
What
Where you
is
can
that?
upload 3 different thumbnails?
Yeah, I can do that.
Nice.
Why would I want to do that?
To see which one performs better. So they'll serve like your first thumbnail to a section of your audience. They'll serve your second thumbnail to a section of your audience, and the third, and they'll choose whichever one is performing the best.
I have been changing the thumbnails around. Right now I'm using a neon green screen.
I saw that.
So it seems to be not working the same as the other stuff didn't really work, but you know. Okay, so there's 80 feet of wall, Chad.
80 feet of wall. We are 3 courses plus a cap. Nope. It's 8 inches thick, so it's 2 courses and 3 courses and a cap. Let's say 3 courses and a cap on this wall.
So it's 20. So 3 courses is 24.
Yeah, plus the cap is also 8 inches thick, right?
So it's 32 inches high.
Yeah.
So it's get out the calculator here because my brain isn't good at math. It is clear 32 divided by ooh, that didn't work.
213 face feet.
2.66.
Let's call it that.
213.33. So so I would say without doing any math or seeing this site, this wall is worth at least $21,333.
That's literally what I just did. I times it by 100 a face foot.
That's where I'm at with this.
How much are you? 20
$21,333.33.
Okay.
I just did it times 100 because that's
in my time of need to scrape in every job that I can. This is a 3-day wall build for me. My all-in cost on the project is $14,505.
$14,505.
Yeah.
Divided
tax.
by 213.33. So you're charging $67.99. So on the wall, so I went out to look at that today. I was 2 hours from our shop looking at that wall project that I think we talked about it last week. And now, mind you, that wall project is a lot bigger than this, like in terms of just the amount of face footage that's out there.
Yeah.
But I think we were like 56.
Yeah.
But we were
Okay.
hoping to. So we budgeted to swing to do 100 face feet a day, which I think is low. I'm big fucking runs of wall. We should do way more than 100. But
Yeah.
we budgeted 100 because that's when they wanted us to drop the price. We looked at it and said, okay, like what can we realistically budget here? Because if your price is so low, you're budgeting to do 300 face feet a day, then maybe on some walls you can do that and maybe some people can, but it's not achievable for us. So we're putting ourselves on a hold to begin with.
Yeah, you're setting unrealistic goals for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're saying 3 days?
I think so. Yeah.
So, on our wall project, if you worked out the budgeting, say on the 100, on the face feet, 100 foot, say 100 face feet a day, our gross on that would have been Now, mind you, on our project, we're not supplying any material though. So you got to take that into account. We're not supplying the wall. We are supplying the gravel. We're not supplying the wall. So whatever. Anyways, ours was like $5,600 gross a day. Yours is $48.35 a day for a 3-day project.
Yeah, I can live with that.
So you're going to get crew rate plus Grande Well's cheap.
Grande Well's cheap.
Like what's it worth? 10, $12 a face foot?
Yeah, I think they're about $35 a block or something like that.
Yeah, I've
That's
got
really nice.
45 retail per block.
Per block though. But the blocks are 39 by 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you used to sell this stuff.
Shut up.
So
2.16 face
I'm like,
feet.
holy shit, those numbers are right on. Like, who used to sell this stuff?
$20 a face foot.
So it's $20 a face foot to buy.
Retail.
So you said there's 213?
Yeah.
So you have 4260 in block in the job. Now you're not buying retail though. Are you buying retail, Chet?
No.
Are they giving you a deal?
Who buys retail in landscape construction?
I don't know.
The homeowner?
I guess.
I
have
got
no idea who buys retail.
I got $4,300 allotted for block.
I had 4260.
Wow.
No, I had no markup though. So let's say
I
you're
don't
using,
mark up my materials. I never do.
I
So
charge.
I don't even
retail.
know my numbers. I just know that I can do this wall for that price, and we're not going to lose our shirt.
well, so you're saying you left 4,300?
Yeah.
So it leaves you 11 grand. Essentially.
11 grand. Yeah, to peel 2 driveways, which will take me all of half a day with 2 guys. That comes out.
You're leaving yourself 3 because there's not a lot of gravel to like. What do you got to put a sock behind this wall and
No, because it's asphalt to asphalt. There's no water that should get behind the wall, right?
I would say you should. So I'm just saying I would still put a sock in an 80
There's-
feet. I'd have 2 daylights, but that's me. You build it how
Yeah,
you
I
want.
guess you could. But it's all clear gravel behind, so what daylights? It all goes through the wall anyway.
I don't know. I just always daylight the wall every 50 feet because
Yeah.
it costs nothing and it's just emergency there.
Yeah.
To
you
buy the
could.
pipe and daylight it is to daylight 80 feet. So we buy those.
Yeah, I know the
rectangular
Wall
grids
train
ones?
there.
pros.
Yeah.
So those things are say $20 each, and the pipe's worth 200. So for $220, I know I'm never coming back to fix it. That's the only reason I do it.
I'm confident we don't have to fix this wall regardless, but the water never pitches towards the wall, right? Like on the top driveway, it goes down towards the road. The bottom driveway, it goes towards the guy's shed.
Perfect.
So yeah, there's no point where the water crashes towards the wall. So I'd assume for the first 10 years that asphalt is good enough where it doesn't. What's the permeability of asphalt?
0.
Well then, 0% for 10 years.
Oh, I'm
Then
not. Everyone has to build everything the way they want. I'm just saying that's what I would do.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that your point is valid. That if it's full of clear stone and the water will leach through the face, and there's an argument the wall's only. Well, when you're saying 32 high though, you got a buried course, right?
correct. Yeah.
So you got a buried course, so you're really only 2 feet high with Grande wall.
Yeah. My money is on this
And if
wall
the-
working. Obviously, because I put a 20-year warranty on it. They'll be dead. The homeowners will be dead.
Or at least in a nursing home.
Mm,
And there'll be
they're
some
almost in a nursing home now.
there'll be some people squatting there and
Yeah.
fucking.
Graffitiing it.
Were these people trying to beat each other up like your last old couple?
What did they do? What last old couple did I have?
That was me, I think. You're talking.
No,
yeah.
Chad had an old couple. He went to their house and they drove in a car from the front yard to the backyard,
Oh yeah,
And
the
they
French ones. Yeah.
screamed
yeah.
and yelled at each other and carried
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
What?
that's right.
What? You're
Yeah.
supposed to do what? Yeah, I
Did you
never
do
gave
that
them their
job?
price. No, I never gave them their price. I
Never
couldn't
gave
face
them
them.
their price.
Yeah.
Never gave them their price. Fuck you and your price.
I see. I'd rather have no work than work for those people, as the board will tell you in my
It's probably
office.
cheaper.
Probably, because I
We
don't
have
see a scenario where they would be ecstatic with their job by the time I'm done.
we've Jack and I have priced so much fucking work that all starts immediately. And
Oh, yeah?
another lead came in today that's from a person we've already done a lot of work for that is probably only calling us. And when we deal with them, it's more of a negotiation than it is a bidding process. If it ever all came in, we would be like so fucked. I feel like there's this tidal wave starting on the other side of the ocean and it's coming at me. And it could dissipate into nothing and go away. It could literally dissipate into nothing and we're starving and they're repossessing the new truck. Or it could build momentum and crush us and we end up in the same place anyways. Starving, no money because everything's all fucked up. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's a touch and go situation.
Would you rather bet on having the tidal wave or having a bucket to fill with a hole in the bottom and only a pin drop coming in through the top?
I have always maintained, in my opinion, it's easier to be busy. It's easier to have too much work than it is to have none.
Yeah.
That's when people are like, "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy." I'm like, "You fucking be thankful," because I've had, times where we weren't busy, like now, and I went up to my parents for Father's Day, and I was talking to my dad, who obviously is an avid listener of the podcast now. Hi, Dad. Um, and hi, Mom, who's not listening because
We need all the listeners we can
there's
get.
no swearing in this moment. And he said, he worked for the TTC. He was in the union. He drove for them for like 30 years. And he's like, I never woke up and had to worry about running out of work. He had never thought about that because it wasn't his life experience. When we were talking about, I got 2 more weeks, I got 3 more weeks, he was like, he just said, that's wild that he's never had that experience. And I hadn't really thought about it from an outside perspective because, being in landscape construction my whole life, you're just endlessly worried about running out of work, when I was a employee, I worried about running out of work. As an owner, I worry about running out of work. The work as an owner, it's way more epic. It's, we have 5 field staff that affects 5 families.
Yeah.
My inability to do my job and find work is affecting 5 families. When it was someone else running out of work and me working for them, I need to get off my ass and find something to do if they don't have things for me to do. It only really affects me, but as the business owner, anyways, interesting that like his life experience was he went to work all the time, every day, and he just went there and there was a bus to drive and he drove it. He never went to work and someone said, "Oh, we don't have any patios to build, or we don't have any trees to plant, or whatever. You don't have any grande retaining walls with no sock pipe or daylights to build."
Yeah.
It's just someone else's. I hadn't really thought about that.
My job has changed so much in the past season, because I'm no longer doing the work because I have to find the work for the other guys. I used to be hands-on 5 days a week, swinging a dead blow mallet, grading, the whole thing. And now, like the last month, you'd be lucky if I spent 40 hours cutting and gluing and sanding and laying pavers and shit. It just changed because
Do you miss it?
not when it's 40 degrees out.
Yeah.
No, because I can still get in and do it, right? But like now I feel like if I'm on the job site working with the guys, I'm doing them a disservice because I'm taking their work and not finding more for them for the next one. Right. I'm finding value in myself being able to schmooze clients and make sales. And honestly, I don't love to do it, but this is what needs to be done to keep this ship afloat.
Do you have any guys that want to go out and start doing sales or like have nudged you in something like that?
No, I never hired a salesman. I hired installers and laborers and everything. I don't see, like, I don't know if that's a really good fit necessarily going from an installer to a salesperson. I could
You
be
did.
wrong.
You did it.
I did it, but I also have to wear many hats as the business owner, right? Like I'm doing this out of necessity, not because I'm necessarily good at it.
Well, you've been
Just,
mildly successful, so you must be remotely good at it.
yeah. I mean, I can get by, right? But put me next to a salesman and I'm lost. I can get by because I can tell someone how to build something properly, and maybe 20% of the time they pick up what I'm putting down, right? And that's the only reason that I've been successful in selling jobs. Is because I don't bullshit them. I tell them what needs to be done. Sometimes we click and they'll give me the job. In residential landscape. In commercial, I mean, it doesn't matter. They don't give a shit. They want your low price.
I think that in commercial, the part that sales is getting the ability to give the low price.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know,
You have to.
there's getting the ability to be the one who gets the last chance to put low price is where you build the relationship.
And some people you don't do that with ever, right? Like there's
Yes.
some estimators that's a line that you never cross. But some you build a rapport with enough that they'll give you that shot.
Yeah.
I remember there used to be a city inspector in town. She was a woman, and the GCs in town, like their site foreman, could never get along with this woman. Like she was an engineer, and she's like, "No, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong." And then whenever I made a recommendation, like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Great." So her and I got along really well. And then their site foreman would ask me to propose ideas to her just so that they would fly, like just so that they could continue on working. And the estimators are like, that's worth its weight in gold. Like just to progress the job. So it's little favors here and there.
I had the same experience today as you. Driving home from the place that's an hour and 48 minutes from our yard. I just thought, wow, I haven't. Last Friday, I was standing in a warehouse. I made a video landscaping in the middle of this like massive warehouse. And the owner of the warehouse is asking me about what fire breaks he should put in the warehouse when he wants to subdivide it. I said, I think you need to call someone else. I was invited there because they want to put a bunch of loading docks in and they want to talk about the excavating of the loading docks, which is obviously something that we could do and something we would like to do. And we have all the trucks. Debatably, we have a big enough excavator. Maybe we need to rent one. Anyways, there's 12 loading docks going in, which actually turns out to be like 120 loads that need to come off the property. And then there's a bunch of other work to do. So I was invited to that meeting based on us being the excavating contractor. But somehow I ended up in the building discussing what's the legal fire break is. I feel like I'm so far outside what I do. I said to them, can I go in the building? Just because it was fucking hot as fuck outside and I wanted to see what was. And in the building were tons and tons of skids of Crayola crayons. Someone was using that building to store a fuck ton of fucking crayons. That's 2024. Like I'm in a warehouse discussing the fire break walls. And then on top of that, thinking, if these have to be masonry, maybe I could do that. I've done
Yeah,
masonry
you could
block
probably do
before.
that. Yeah.
Maybe we could do the mason. I'm like, then I started recommending we should do masonry walls in between here.
Wow.
If someone said to me 2 years ago, you'll be down to 2 to 3 weeks worth of work left, and you'll be looking at loading docks and retaining walls that are in fucking Brantford, I would say you are nuts. But here we are.
Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I was talking to another contractor about this today, and I'm like, everybody's saying times are bad. It's really bad. I'm like, I don't know if they're bad. I just think it's back to normal. I just think we're not being spoon fed every day.
I think it's below
That's
back
so.
to normal.
You think it's below?
And I don't know. So I get messages from people where they're just talking about things are like super slow. I can't get any leads. What are you doing to get leads? Or
Drainage.
I've gone out of business and things like that. Like
I've gone out
I've
of
had,
business.
yeah, I've had a handful of people, and I'm not trying to like put anybody. I would never discuss what in my DMs what to anybody, even offline or anything. So anybody listening to this that might have sent me a message like that, I don't discuss that ever. But yeah, there's definitely been a handful of people who have said I'm closing down, but more so people that have started within 2020 till now in business.
Well, because it's not easy anymore.
Yeah.
You never had time to develop that backbone of the grind whenever you came up bottle fed.
Tough times. What is it saying? That tough times develop tough people, and easy times develop weak people.
Yeah, I was thinking about that quote today, actually.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the exact wording of that quote, but from pandemic till this season, it was easy times that developed weak people. Not everybody, but like when work was falling from trees, like all you had to do was put a lawn sign out and fill your season.
Yeah. When work was easy to get, nobody focused on because they're too busy to focus on the back end of things of how do I get leads coming out of this busy time, right?
And in
And
those
then
people's
a bunch of
defense,
marketers started businesses because they were quote unquote hardscapers who put up Facebook ads and were able to get leads at X dollar amount and now are advertising those rates. And those rates are because you can get any lead coming in when nobody has a contract to get work from. So not only are we seeing a bunch of people struggling in business that have just started their business, but also marketers who have come out of their hardscaping business since 2020, advertising that they can get you work. I get hit up by so many marketers, so that's kind of something that grinds my gears a little bit.
yeah, I think that fuck, I lost my train of thought. I agree with you though that there's definitely going to be an opening for people to take advantage of other people. The more desperate people get, the more likely these marketers are to suck them into things.
Well, how easy was it during that boom of just putting up a quick Facebook ad and getting tons of people interested because you're dangling a worm in front of thousands of hungry fish who can't find a contractor to do work, right?
I see tons of sponsored posts from landscapers come through my feed, and some of them are just atrocious.
How
There's
many
one,
of them offer cash rebates?
that's the key, the cash rebate.
Cash rebate.